Greater Good Radio. Connect, learn, heal, and grow.
Some background about my father, which talks about service back to community. It goes back to when he was a young boy, growing up in a poor family in Aloha in Hokulea, here on Oahu. Mom and dad did not have a lot of money, but at that time they took in orphan children, and they took in children from that just got out of youth correctional facilities. So these were Hanai brothers and sisters. So my father and his brother and younger sister would come home. They never know how many brothers and sisters they have in the house. But he wouldn't talk about that time. But his older brother, Uncle Sonny, my Uncle Sonny, would talk about that's where there was tremendous influence on my father, seeing maybe arguably the worst level of poverty. And that's the poverty in the helplessness in the minds and the hearts of young children. And the worst poverty is when they're neglected, they have no home. So my Uncle Sonny talks about when so many kids run out of food, parents only drink water for dinner. They gotta, next morning, you know, and there's no breakfast, they gotta eat guava. But I think that young childhood time had huge impact on my dad, because the next real important piece that shaped him to who he was and why he was so important to us was when Pearl Harbor was bombed. He was a junior in high school. Hawaii's population, half than it is now, wanted to fight for this country and just the sheer value of freedom, nothing else. Too young to get in the military, everybody knew him in Hawaii, so he falsified his birth certificate, went to Washington State, and enlisted in the Army. They thought he was Native American Indian, made him a first scout's last 2 minutes in battle on average, and landed in Normandy on the European invasion with the 442nd and the 100th Battalion. All that whole hui from Hawaii, fought 400 miles across French soil, and in the snow in France with his green uniform was shot in the head by a sniper. Thought they're going to die because his wound is so bad. His best friend from Oklahoma tells me the story. My dad won't talk about it. Carries him behind the lines. He doesn't die. Make a long story short, he ends up in a New York hospital. They bandaged both eyes. And that's when he started to talk to me. He said, I know you need to understand the power of vision. Because he said in that physical blindness, he started to condense down what is the importance of his life and what is the most meaningful thing to do. And it was all about service, but choosing also where you serve and who you serve. It was coming home to Hawaii and serving poor children. That drove his whole future, and we needed that. So he understood poverty. He knew that we were in very difficult times. We got together in that one room, someplace on the university. That whole time is so blurry to me because I don't want to remember it so much. But in a single 45-minute time period, he re-navigated, reshaped us, pulled us together with the most important issue, and that was a sense of real purpose. We're all sitting there, we weren't even talking to each other, our leadership hui. And he said, you folks need to understand the power of vision. You need to know what your destination looks like. You need to know that there is a path to get there. You need to know that along that path, what will get you there is going to be your agreeable set of core values that you won't compromise. And you need your community with you. You cannot succeed at voyaging if they are not with you. And the way that you rebuild your community is to articulate that vision and those core values to those who will resonate to it, and they will come. And he said, because you're going to be challenged. He said, there'll be those in your community that will be with you all the way. They'll support you all the way. There'll be those who don't care. But he predicted that there will be those in this community that want to see you fail because you're Hawaiian. He said, once you agree on those core values, hold on to them through all those challenges. He gave us all these steps. He said, next step is to create the plan from where you are today to the arrival at your destination and define all the steps you need to prepare. And he said, that's the hard part. He said, 95% of your success in this voyage is not when you go, it's going to be in the training. He says, I'll be with you all the way to make sure you take every step. And then the interesting thing he said to us that really kind of re-clarify our sense of purpose, he goes, when you are finished with all the steps, then you will be confronted collectively with the choice. Is the voyage worth the risk? And if it is, let go of the lines. And in that moment in time, he was letting his son go. And that took enormous courage on his side. But the last piece he said, this voyage is not for you. This voyage is for all those children that hope and pray and believe in what you're doing. Your final role in voyaging is to teach. And in that single day, he just reshaped not so much only our direction, but why we would sail. So for voyaging has been about evolution, of sense of purpose. But at that particular time, now voyaging became about rebuilding better communities.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.